So let us start. So welcome to the first class of complex analysis. So this is, the word is complex, but the topic is very easy. And this is actually simply short syllabus and very short syllabus and very important topic also. Right. So it is important from the fact of two different aspects. One is, so as it is a topic. And the second important aspect is fluid analysis or fluid dynamics is purely complex analysis. Right? So entire fluid dynamics analysis is mixed with only two different topics. One is the complex analysis, another is the vector analysis. So with very little amount of the physics, that means maybe around 10% of physics and 90% is a mixture of these topics. Right? So very short syllabus from the physics, but 90% is purely the vector analysis and the complex analysis. Hence, actually, this particular topic, you have to focus more, try to understand clearly each and every concept. So not from the fact that actually it is topic of importance for UPSC, but also it is part of the fluid dynamics analysis as well. So there it is very important. That's why actually don't focus only the areas of the importance of this particular topic. Try to focus all the concepts, right? So this is actually very important to note. Let me go through the syllabus first, and then actually we can move on. So I'll just write the syllabus. So let me write it. Analytic function, Cauchy-Riemann equations. Analytic function. Cauchy-Riemann equations. Cauchy's theorem, Cauchy's integral formula. Cauchy's integral formula. Power series representation of an analytic function. Power series representation of an analytic function. Taylor series, singularities. Singularities. Lorentz series. Cauchy's residue theorem and contour integration. Residue theorem and Cauchy's residue theorem and contour integration. Right, so this is the complete syllabus and this is the shortest syllabus possible. And then actually if you notice in this particular syllabus what we are going to discuss is, the first thing is actually the analytic function. That is, so if you try to correlate with the real analysis, if the derivative exists for any function, right? So if that is a complex function, then that function is called as a analytic function. That means the existence of the derivative for the complex function is called an analytic function. So there are certain conditions that needs to be applied so that actually to prove that the function is going to be analytic or not. And the minimum bare requirement conditions, what we call that as the Cauchy-Riemann equations. So these Cauchy-Riemann equations are satisfied, then actually at least 70% of the condition is satisfied so that actually the derivative exists, but it's not that actually 100% of the conditions are satisfied. 100% of the conditions actually we cannot verify to verify whether the function is going to be analytic or not, but at least the Cauchy-Riemann equations are the bare minimum conditions for the existence of the derivative or actually for the function to be analytic. And then based on that actually, so if the function is analytic, then actually directly the integral over the closed contour without having any poles actually it will be 0, and this is called as the Cauchy's theorem. So there is some integration, that is what we call as the complex integrations. So that complex integrations actually is the major portion of the syllabus in this, but the complex integrations as it is actually it may not be useful for us, but some of the unsolved integrals of the real analysis we will be able to solve with the help of this contour integration or the complex integration. So because of that reason, there are certain methodologies, or actually it will give some extra techniques to identify the integral values. So that extra techniques which we are going to learn here as a complex integration. So in that complex integrations, there is something called the Cauchy's theorem, which is an extra technique, and there is Cauchy's integral formula. This is also one extra technique. And then actually, so power series representation of an analytic function and the Taylor series. So these are actually mainly focused on to identify the singularities. So to identify the singularities, actually, these series expansion of the functions actually we are going to study. And in that, only two different kind of series expansion we will be studying it. One is the Taylor series, another is the Laurent series. So those two series actually will be analyzing it to identify the singularities. But these singularities are used to calculate the integrations again, right? So the integrations are calculated based on the singularities, and these singularities actually, the coefficient of the singularities actually, which we will call this as the residues. So that residues actually we will be using to calculate the integral values. So that means actually mostly we are targeting to identify the integral value. For that actually these are all the supports, right? And then actually, so Laurent series and the Taylor series and the singularities and Cauchy's residue theorem. So residue theorem is the one actually, the sum of the residues actually is equivalent to the integral value. So there is one theorem which we will prove mathematically, and this is the complete syllabus we can say. And the contour integration, so this one also actually is very, very important section. This contour integration, as I said earlier, some of the unknown or actually unsolved real integrals we will be able to solve with the help of this contour integration. So this contour integration is a complex analysis technique to solve the real analysis integrals. Got it? So this is the complete syllabus actually what we are going to study, and this is a short topic, as well as the importance of this also is very small. It's not like other topics. Let me show you how many marks you are going to get it out of this particular topic. So just see this. So this particular topic, right? So is part of paper 2, right? So this topic is part of paper 2, and this is actually from section A you are going to get it. Paper 2, section A. And in that complex analysis, if you notice, so this is total of 45 marks. So in total, we have got only 45 marks out of it, and 10 marks from question number 1, 15 marks question number 2, question number 3 10 marks, and question number 4 10 marks. Now the indirect meaning of it is, so all the questions if you notice are spread across. That means, so these questions if you notice, see 10 marks here, 15 marks here, 10 marks here, and 10 marks here. Out of 45 marks spread across 4 different questions. If you want to take this as choice, then that will be very problem for you, because you cannot assume this as a choice, because the questions were distributed among all other questions. The topic was distributed among all the questions, and the importance is only 45 marks. Unlike other topics like where we will have actually numerical analysis is one important topic which is having 90 marks. And mechanics and fluid dynamics is another important topic which is having 80 marks. But this topic is having only 45 marks. And linear programming is anyway least. And partial differential equations, actually, here it was given only for 45 marks, but usually actually it will be 60 marks, usually. In this year specifically, it was given only for 45 marks. Most of the times it is. But complex analysis, consistently, it will be around 45 to 50 only, less than 50 definitely. Got it? And then actually real analysis is 65 marks. Sometimes actually it will be more than that. And abstract algebra is actually very, very least weightage, we can say. So the effort involved is very high, but the marks what you are going to get in abstract algebra is very less, around 40, lesser than 40 marks sometimes, right? But the topic is actually very, very big. Almost 1.5 months we take to cover that entire topic of abstract algebra. More number of concepts, but least weightage. Got it? So when you want to spend time, so don't put this abstract algebra as the first priority. You try to put other topics as the first priority. You take the least point there. Got it? And this is actually in the year of, so this is in the year of 2019, right? Yeah, 2019. And 2018, if you notice, in this actually the complex analysis is given for 55 marks. And in that question number 1, 10, and question number 3, 15, question number 4, 15, but question number 8 also we got it, right? So can we score full marks in complex analysis? Definitely you will be able to score full marks because this is a very short syllabus. So being it is short syllabus, you need to cover all the models. So that is very, very important. There are certain areas like power series expansion and also the contour integration. So these are the two important areas actually where you need to focus more, try to understand, then you should be able to score. Got it? And then actually, so 2017, it was given only for 25 marks. So 10 marks for question number 1 and question number 2 is 15 marks. And this is 2016. So this was given for again 45 marks. So last year actually don't consider that because 25 actually usually they don't give it. Minimum 40 marks they give it. 40, 45, maximum 50. So this is the usual range. And here actually it is given for 65 marks, and in that actually question number 1, 2, 3, 4 was given. So complex analysis. Got it? So this is the kind of questions actually you can express. So expect, and then you can let us see some of the model questions. See this. So this is prove that if b into e power a plus 1 is less than 1, where a and b are positive and real, then the function z power n e power minus a plus minus b into e power z has n zeros in the unit circle. So number of zeros needs to be identified within the unit circle given by that, right? So this is actually, there is a concept called poles and zeros. So in that concept actually it was given. Okay. Right? So using Cauchy's residue theorem, evaluate the integral. So this is actually Cauchy's integral theorem. So there is one theorem which we are going to discuss in detail. So this actually is used to calculate the value of this integration. And this one proves that the function f of z is equal to u plus iv, where f of z is equal to x cube into 1 plus I minus y cube into 1 minus I divided by x square plus y square, where z not equal to 0 and f of z is equal to 0, satisfies Cauchy-Riemann equations at the origin, but the derivative of f at z is equal to 0 does not exist. So this actually is straightforward as it is a replica of the, or as it is problem from B.S. Gravel. Straight away it was print. So this is expand in Laurent series for the function f of z is equal to 1 by z square into z minus 1 about z is equal to 0 and z is equal to 1. So this is also, so Laurent series, this is also you can expect in the from B.S. Gravel. Actually I can notice this problem. So evaluate the integral 0 to 5 d theta divided by 1 by, so d theta by 1 plus cos theta by 2 whole square using residue theorem. So this also straight away residue theorem. So just actually cos theta needs to be replaced with z plus 1 by z by 2, and then actually you need to solve as if like it is a complex integration. So this is also a straightforward problem. And this one, so this 2015, show that the function v is equal to log of x square plus y square plus x plus y is harmonic find its conjugate harmonic function u, also find the corresponding analytic function f of z u plus iv in terms of z. So this is also a straightforward problem. So no twist, straight away as it is, he has given one function, the conjugate function needs to be identified, and the sum of conjugate function and this function together with I multiplication is called the complex function. So this actually we can use, so we can straight away identify the conjugate function. Find all the possible Taylor's and Lorentz series expansions of the function f of z is equal to 2z minus 3 divided by z square minus 3z plus 2 about the point z is equal to 0. So he has given one function. So for that actually we need to be identifying the Taylor series expansion and the Lorentz series expansion for this, for the given function. And state Cauchy's residue theorem using it, evaluate integral j power z by 1 divided by z into z plus 1 into z minus y. So dz, where mod z is equal to. So this is also straight away Cauchy's residue theorem as it is application. So no deviation from there. In 2016, right? So v is equal to x cube minus 3xy square plus 2y, a harmonic function, right? So is it a harmonic function or not? So a function actually which satisfies the Laplace equation is called a harmonic function. So this actually we need to prove whether this equation actually satisfies the Laplace equation or not. And then actually prove your claim. If yes, find its conjugate harmonic function. So whenever a function is harmonic, obviously there exists a counter function which is what we call as the conjugate function. So that conjugate function actually we can identify based on the complex analysis rules. And then actually, so the sum of these functions, so this is actually the previous model as it is actually it was replicated. And then, so gamma of t is equal to e power 2 pi it, where 0 less than t less than 1. Find, giving justification, the value of the contour integral. So over the contour given by that, and this is dz divided by 4z square minus 1. So this is the way of representation of the contour. So that means actually he has given one equation or actually one particular curve. The curve is represented by this function. Over that curve, we need to identify this integral, which is what we call as the contour integration. And then actually prove that every power series represents an analytic function inside its circle of convergence. So this actually, this is a little deviated from the normal knowledge. So this model actually, so we have solved the previous year problem for this one. So this I can share. Determine all entire functions f of z such that 0 is a removable singularity of f of z. And so this is also actually, this is a little deviated or the tough question we can say. So it's not from the normal knowledge. So this is actually a little extra knowledge is required. This one also a little bit tougher. And I think so this also we have the solution for this. And using contour integral method, prove that integral 0 to infinity x sin mx divided by a square plus x square dx is equal to pi by 2 e power minus ma. So this is a straightforward problem from B.S. Gravel. Prove that the function u is equal to x minus 1 whole cube minus 3xy square plus 3y square is harmonic and find its harmonic conjugate function. So this is a straightforward problem. Show by applying the residue theorem integral 0 to infinity dx by x square plus a square whole square is equal to pi by 4 a cube. So this is a straightforward problem as it is, right? So this is the real integration which we need to identify with the help of the contour integration. Find the Lorentz series which represents the function 1 by 1 plus z square into z plus 2. So mod z less than 1, 1 less than mod z less than 2, and mod z greater than 2. So this question is straight away from the B.S. Gravel, right? Suppose f of z is analytic function on a domain D in C and satisfies the equation imaginary part of f of z is equal to real part of f of z whole square. Z belongs to D. Show that f of z is constant in D. I think so. This model also I have noticed in B.S. Gravel. So this is also a straightforward problem. Show that an isolated singularity point z0 of a function f of z is a pole of order m if and only if f of z can be written in the form of f of z is equal to pi of z by z minus z0 whole power m, where phi of z is analytic and non-zero at z is equal to z0. Moreover, residue of z tending to z0, f of z is equal to this value. So this question actually, particularly it was given from the Krishna series. So this question is from the Krishna series. So you can notice this model as it is. And evaluate the integral over the contour C, real part of z square dz from 0 to 2 plus 4i along the curve C, where C is a parabola y is equal to x square, right? So this is a this kind of so contour integration. Obtain the first three terms of the Lorentz series expansion of the function f of z is equal to 1 by e power z minus 1. So this is also a straightforward expansion. That's it. Got it? So mostly actually you should be able to solve all these questions. So some exceptions actually in 1 or 2 problems actually you can notice that there are some exceptions. So that exceptions actually you need extra knowledge, or actually you need to refer more books. And the books whatever I suggest to solve all these kind of problems is, so one is I follow preferably B.S. Gravel, and the second one is Krishna series. So all the models actually you can find from these books, right? So B.S. Gravel actually it covers almost 90% of the syllabus. 90% actually it will cover, but the problem is the concepts actually they cover 90%. But this remaining 10% actually it won't be part of B.S. Gravel, but this is important also. So 10% actually it was not covered, especially power series expansion, not very good number of models were covered in this. And so residue and expansion of the series, right? So there are some exceptional models actually we have noticed in the previous year problem. Those kind of models are not part of B.S. Gravel. So I have noticed a few of the models from the Krishna series. That's actually better take both of these books and then actually try to solve it. Correct? But B.S. Gravel conceptually it is very good. So exceptionally good. So you can go through that book. All the models you cover it. Contour integration also actually it was covered to the greater extent. But excess of the derivation kind of models actually those are not part of that book. Those are, I said that actually is are 10%, but this 10% is important. Got it? Right? So and then actually the previous knowledge requirements. I don't think there is any previous knowledge required for this particular topic. So I hope you are aware of the derivatives and the partial derivatives. Just doing the derivative at +2 standard, you might be already aware what is a partial derivative and how to do it. So that is enough, nothing more than that. No previous knowledge is required for this particular topic. Got it? So any other questions? Right, so weightage around 45 marks, books B.S. Gravel and Krishna series, and models are mostly repetitive from the standard textbooks. And so this is a simple and short syllabus, it won't take much time. Even the number of classes also, I don't think more than 15 classes it will take. So lesser than 15 marks. Less than 15 classes. Any other questions? Fine. So fine. So just actually I will introduce what is a complex number, then actually we can close on this session. So this is just the basics. So now, so you know the numbers, right? So the number actually, if you take any particular number, r is equal to 1, 2, or 1.5, 1.7, like this actually, all these numbers actually you can put it. And all these numbers actually we call this as the real numbers, right? But the numbers actually, so there are different kind of numbers actually we were talking about. So real numbers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, many such kind of numbers. But all the numbers together actually, which we call this as the simply the rational numbers or the real numbers. So in the material actually we have covered all the models. So you do it from the material itself. So material actually it is comprehensive. It will cover from all the books whatever is required to the text. So that is actually you try to solve from the material, not from the book. So book actually you take it as the reference. So in case actually if you are not able to understand, go through the theoretical part of the textbook so that actually you will be able to easily understand. Got it? But in the material actually we have comprehensively covered everything. Any other questions? Right, so these are all called as the real numbers. What is a complex number? Why it is complex? Right, why we have to call that as a complex number, or actually a number attached to the complex and number. So ideally we have used these numbers, right? So these numbers actually are the simple numbers which we call, and this is a complex number. So complex meaning, so why we call this as a complex number is, so two numbers together comes always. So that is complex number actually two numbers together treated as a single number. As a single number with specific associated meaning. So because of this reason, actually, we call this as a complex number. That means this is still a number. It's a single number, but internally it is made up of with two different numbers together with an associated meaning. What is this associated meaning is, suppose you take this particular point. Now, you take this particular line. Now, this is a one-dimensional geometry and this is a two-dimensional geometry. Now, a point can be represented either on a line or on a plane or on a space, right? Now, if you represent a point on a straight line, so like this actually I can represent. Now, where is that point? If I ask that question, you simply give it one single number. Let us say the location of this is x is equal to 1. So this x is equal to 1 is sufficient enough to identify that particular location along that particular line, being it is a one-dimensional geometry. Now, the same question actually if I ask, where is this point? If I ask that question in this particular plane, now this plane actually made up of with two different real lines. So this is horizontal real line and this is the vertical real line. Now this point which is on the space, which is on the plane, it needs to be identified with two different numbers. Now this particular number or this particular point is represented with a horizontal distance a and a vertical distance a, and with an associated meaning of 90 degrees to each other, and a plus ib. So this is how actually this particular number is represented. Hence, this is called as a complex number. So still actually you are representing a single point. Now the same point actually if you represent in the space, then actually that is more complicated number we can say. That is z, if I say that with an associated meaning, suppose if it is represented with a plus ib plus jc, if I give this particular number, then this is actually more complicated number which can be represented as a single point in the space. But this level of understanding or the complexity is not required, but this is required. Why? Because so all the things actually comes from the fact that actually it is important or actually it is necessity. So the necessity actually is coming from the fact of the fluid dynamic analysis, where if you represent the number in this particular format, then actually most of the physics related problems or the engineering related problems were able to solve it with an easier approach. Because of this reason, this complex number actually came into picture. So this complex number is usually represented with z, which is always a plus ib. A plus ib. So these two numbers together with an associated meaning of one in the horizontal direction, another with a 90 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction. So these two are coming together. So this is a complex number. Now, what is the meaning of this I? So this I actually, so everybody says that I is minus 1. How this is going to be minus 1 is, so I actually it was given a specific meaning that by multiplying with I, the number or the vector is rotated by 90 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. So this is the meaning of the I. Now how actually we can justify? See this, suppose this is the length A, which is a vector, horizontally it is represented, and if you multiply with I, then actually it is a rotation in the anti-clockwise direction by 90 degrees. So this is AI. Now if I again multiply with I, then this will be AI square. Now on the real line, if you notice, this is plus A and this is of minus A. Hence minus 1 is equal to I square. So this is the meaning of it. Same thing can be justified if I multiply with one more I, then this is ai cube. So ai cube, and this can be represented as ai into I square, or this is minus ai. So if it is plus ai, then on the same real line, this is going to be of minus ai. Hence, actually, this is going to be of exactly carrying the meaning of I square is equal to minus 1. If I multiply with again with I, then a into I power 4. This can be written as a into I square into I square. So a into minus 1 into minus 1. So this is of plus a. Got it? So like this, actually, we can justify the meaning of, so this is simply I is multiplication, meaning rotating the vector in the anti-clockwise direction by an angle of 90 degrees. Got it? So this is how actually the complex number came into picture. Now, this is actually basically coming only from the fact that it is the necessity for the complicated problem analysis. So that's why actually we defined it. Otherwise, actually, we would have defined the more complicated number, as I said, the three-dimensional point, if you can identify in the complex format, then actually that will be a separate mathematics altogether. But that we don't study it, or actually we don't even analyze that. Why? Because there is no need. So this one actually we need it, hence actually we are analyzing all these things. And whenever there is a number, obviously number can be represented with a variable. So suppose actually if I say that, so we know that actually all the integer values are actually any real number actually can be represented, let us say 2.7. So this is a simple number. When we define the number, obviously we look for some variable where you can store this number. That means suppose x is equal to 2.7. So like this actually we have introduced the variable. If there is a variable, then the variation of the variable actually you wanted to study. So variation of the variable is nothing but the function. That means y is equal to f of x. Like this actually, we got this complex function. So this function actually, which is a real function we call. Exactly in the same manner, when we define a number, obviously we look for the variable to store that number. If there is a variable, you want to study the variation of that variable. Hence, automatically, the functional definition automatically comes into picture. So, like this in this particular case, there will be a 1-1 correlation between the real analysis and the complex analysis. So, here the real analysis and the complex analysis. So, there will be a number which is a real number. The number actually it is simply any number, and here complex number. So, usually represented with z. So, 2 plus 3i. And obviously, there is a variable that is going to be associated. So, this is x is equal to 2.7 and there z is equal to 2 plus 3i. And same is the case actually f of x we will be defining. And here also f of z we will be defining. But there is a complexity that is involved in this particular identification of the function. What is that complexity that is involved? The real analysis versus the complex analysis is, suppose if we have this particular function, so I simply say that y is equal to f of x. Now the meaning of it is, for every value of x, how the y value is varying, that can be represented in a graph. So this is, let us say this is the curve which is represented by y is equal to f of x. Now if this is the curve, for every value of x, actually there is an associated value of y. X being a real number or a single number, which can be represented on a line. Hence, actually on the horizontal line, you are identifying the x values, and correspondingly y value, you are using one more axis to represent it. But the problem in the complex analysis is, so I say that w is equal to f of z. Now, z is associated with two different numbers. So, x plus iy. So, this is the z value. If that is the case, x plus iy, which involves two different numbers together with an associated meaning, which can be represented on a plane, then how can you represent within the same graph the functional value of w? The way we have represented for each value of x, there is an associated value of y which is represented vertically. Now, for z itself, actually, I need the x-axis and y-axis together so that I can represent a single point here. But this particular function is also involving two different values because that is a complex function. So for each value of z, there is a separate real part and the imaginary part as well. So real part and imaginary part actually you have to identify separately. Now if that is the case, real part and imaginary part if you are doing, then obviously to represent for each value of z, you need to define one more plane which is u and v, for each value of z here in this particular plane, there will be a corresponding value actually that is going to be calculated here, and that will be represented here. So this is the complexity that is involved. Otherwise, actually, we might end up requiring 4-dimensional geometry to analyze a complex function. As it is very tough to analyze the 4-dimensional geometry, hence we divide into 2 different 2-dimensional geometries, and we will be using those 2-dimensional geometries to identify the complex function. So that's why whenever we analyze a complex function, there will be something called the xy plane and the uv plane. So xy plane is to identify the values of the z, like the way we have identified on this line for the x. Exactly, this x corresponds to this plane, and this y value corresponds to this plane. So here it is single values, hence actually it will be easy to represent. Here it is double values together, hence actually you need a 4-dimensional geometry or 2 different 2-dimensional geometries to identify the function. Got it? Now, obviously, on this particular line, real line, you are identifying different values. So hence actually on the real line, you are giving the range of the values. Suppose x varies from 1 to 3. So this is how actually you represent. But how to say the values of the z in this particular plane? Because it's not a single number. Obviously, you need to be talking about the region of values. So in the complex plane, whenever we are talking about, we always talk about the region of integration or region of the values. So both x, y values together needs to be specified. Hence, actually, we specify certain area. In that area, all the points actually the function we need to calculate. That is the meaning of it. So hence, actually, we always talk about the region of integration in the complex analysis. The line of integration or the range of values of integration actually we're talking about in the context of the real analysis. So other than this, the rest of the things as it is actually it will be the replica. Got it? Understood? Understood? Fine. So this is the basic introduction. So in the next class, actually, we will start with the actual class. So maybe the first class is actually, so the limit and the derivative of the function with the CR equations, we will start. So the representation, so what is the doubt in it? See this, whenever we talk about any particular function, y is equal to f of x. So this is actually most common functions. So from our childhood, actually we learned y is equal to f of x. For each value of x, we will be calculating the value of y. This is very simple and straightforward. But in the context of complex analysis, x, so z is also involving 2 different values and w is also involving 2 different values. That means for each value of z, you need to identify a point in the plane, not on the line, like this case. So we need to identify the xy plane. So there is an x here and there is y here, but this is only for this z. For identification of the values of z, you need a space. That space is a plane. Now, here the w value, which is a function. Now, usually whenever we define a function, suppose, so f of x is equal to simply x square. If I say that, so this is actually y is equal to x square is the function, and simply we draw the graph y is equal to x square. So this is a kind of parabola, right? So this is how actually we are going to draw it. But if I give the function w is equal to z square, simply w is equal to z square. Now this involves 2 different values. Z in itself actually is x plus iy whole square. Now this is x square minus y square plus 2xy into I. And if you notice, this is without involving I and this is with involvement of I. That means if you wanted to represent w is equal to z square function, like the case we have represented y is equal to x square in the real analysis. So what we need to do, first actually, for each value of x, actually we have identified the y value in this case. But in this case, actually, you need to identify xy values together, because both are together is an independent for us. So this is independent. And this is dependent. That means as xy both are independent, you need to identify a region first. So that means within this region, for each and every point, actually, I can calculate the value of w by substituting xy values here. And you will be getting the corresponding values for w which can't be represented on this particular graph because this is x and this is y. And obviously, you need to be defining one more plane, which is the UV plane, where U is this one and V is this one. Got it? So you take one particular point here, calculate the value of U based on this, and calculate the value of V, and then actually identify that particular point. Similarly, you take one more value, calculate U and V, and then actually take it. That means in terms of xy, if you want to notice, so this U is x square minus y square, and this V is 2xy. So this is what we call as the W plane, and this is what is called as the UV plane. This is what is called as the xy plane. Obviously, when you calculate the values here, you will be getting one more region here. So this region may be deviated from this depending upon the type of function. Got it? Understood? Sara Singhal. Any other questions? Yeah. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you. So